guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my 36-week pregnancy update, and I just feel like there's so much to talk about. I'm gonna do my best to not let this video go on forever, but this has been probably the longest month of pregnancy since like the very early days of pregnancy before I was even doing these updates. This month seems like it has gone on forever, and I've had like 3 doctor's appointments. I just feel like there's so much to talk about, so I'm just gonna jump right in with the symptoms that I've been having this last month. So the first thing I'll say right off the bat is it's kind of weird, but some days I feel super pregnant and huge and uncomfortable and like I'm waddling around, and then other days I get out of bed in the morning and I feel pretty much normal. Like, it's kind of weird. I don't know if it has to do with what I have eaten or like what I did the day before or something, but that was something that I made a note of, was like some days I feel really pregnant, others I feel not so pregnant. So, but it seems like as time goes on, the days where I feel really pregnant are a lot more common. Along those same lines, my energy levels are totally up and down, and it almost seems like it's every other day. I've started noticing that pattern. Like, I'll have a day where I'm super productive and get a ton done, cleaning the house and working on stuff, and then the very next day, I'll need a nap. Like, I'll be dragging in the afternoon. I get plenty of sleep at night. That's another thing, is like, I really don't have the insomnia, knock on wood. I mentioned in one of my updates, I don't remember which, but there was like a week there where I was like, oh shoot, here's the pregnancy insomnia, because I was waking up in the middle of the night and then I couldn't get back to sleep, and my mind, I was kind of anxious, and it was only really that 1 week, and I haven't had that since. I sleep great at night, with the exception of sometimes I have to get up to pee, and I'm surprised that I don't have to get up to pee more actually, because I pee all the time now. Like, it's funny, it's crazy. Last night we were watching TV, and it was like I didn't even want to sit down and get comfortable because I knew I'd have to get up and pee like in 5 minutes. One kind of cool thing that I've noticed in the last month is my heartburn and like acid reflux and all of that has gotten better. I don't know why, that's kind of weird to me, but I've noticed that. Like a month ago, around, you know, when I did my last update, I was having to take Tums every single night before bed, and I really don't have to anymore. So yeah, that's a plus. I'm definitely hungry all the time now. I just need more food than I used to, which is obvious, but I also, in every other pregnancy update, I've said this, that I have not had a sweet tooth all pregnancy. My taste had not changed at all until this last month. This last month has been the first one where I have found myself, I wouldn't say having cravings, but I want sweets more than before. Like, first 2 trimesters, I really didn't even want sweets. Like, it kind of made me nauseous to think about sweets. This last month, I have definitely had more of a sweet tooth. I feel like what I eat the most of now is like carbs. That's just what I tend to want the most, like cereal, toast, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, stuff like that. I really am not craving like meat very much at all. I do still like cheesy things, and carbs and sweets, and that's kind of like the main stuff that I've been wanting to eat. I still haven't had any weird cravings like, oh my gosh, I need pickles right now. You know, I haven't really had any of that kind of stereotypical stuff. But it has been funny that all of a sudden I got a sweet tooth here at the end. I've definitely noticed the shortness of breath getting worse, especially if I'm full, like after I eat and stuff. A lot of times it helps me to just kind of walk around the house after I eat, just to kind of help, like, because the second I sit down, I feel like it makes it harder for me to breathe. And we've been going on walks, I would say almost every day, maybe every other day to every day. And we go for pretty long walks, like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. I do think that has been helping. It's been helping me to just feel better. And I would have loved to have done that the whole pregnancy, because I absolutely love going on walks, like with Wes and Chester, but, or even just by myself. I just think it's really nice to be outside and get the sunshine and fresh air. But our weather was just so horrible. This is like the longest winter ever. And so just recently, just in this last month, we've really had more like warmer weather where you could actually walk like that. But yeah, that's something I've been doing a lot more. Like I said, I do think it's making me feel a little better just overall, but I do notice the shortness of breath. Sometimes I actually have to say like, oh, can we stop for a minute and just like catch my breath? So yeah, it's kind of funny. You start to feel like an old lady or something. Just within, I would say, the last week, I've started having some very, very mild, like menstrual cramp type feelings. And I mentioned this to my midwife at our last appointment. And because I was like, is that what Braxton Hicks feels like? I don't know if I've had Braxton Hicks. People always talk about that's really common around this time, but I don't know that I've had it if I have. And she said that's not really what Braxton Hicks is. That's more like what real contractions feel like. So it's probably just my body like prepping and gearing up for labor, I guess. One of the more noticeable symptoms that I've had lately has just been kind of pain and discomfort in my legs. And I haven't had any swelling at all, actually. So that's really good. That's something they always ask at my appointments and stuff, and I really haven't had that. I've just had random pains in my legs, mainly like my calves. I get really nervous about any time that I have calf pain because that's a symptom of like a DVT, like deep vein thrombosis, which is like a blood clot in your legs. And we have blood clotting disorders on my dad's side of the family. So my grandpa on that side had something called factor V Leiden, I think is how you say it, which is like a really common blood clotting disorder. And I got tested for that before our IVF transfer, and I didn't have it. So I just thought like, cool, it's all good, nothing to worry about. But back in December, my dad had to be hospitalized because he had something called pancreatitis, which is like a really weird thing to get if you're not, you know, an alcoholic or have like other issues, and he's none of those things. So they couldn't figure out what was wrong, and they ended up finding a blood clot on his portal vein, which is also like very strange to get. So anyway, they ran all these tests on him and found out that he also has a blood clotting disorder, but it's a different one. And I was talking to my dad about that. I was like, do you think we have something in our family? And he said that actually my grandpa's mom also had a blood clotting disorder. So it definitely seems like, even though they're not all the same, like there's some type of clotting disorder on my dad's side of the family. So anyway, since we found all this out, I told my midwife about that, and she ordered blood work for me to have like the full testing done as well. So I'm gonna be getting that done like next week. Hopefully everything's fine, but you know, just kind of taking precautions. But anyway, back to the leg pain. But I felt like I needed to say that so you didn't think I was just like super paranoid, even though I am kind of a paranoid person. I was having these like random kind of pains in my calves, especially my left calf, but it wasn't all the time. It was mainly like after I sat down for a while or laid down for a while, and if I would like flex my foot, it would feel like a sore muscle sort of, but it wasn't all the time. It was off and on. It wasn't like anything horrible either. It wasn't enough to make me limp or anything. My midwife told me, and I also read online, like if it was a blood clot, it would just keep getting worse and worse and worse. You'd have swelling and redness. This is nothing like that. But then yesterday, I was just like doing things around the house and cleaning, and I got this horrible pain in my, I guess kind of like butt cheek, like really lower back over on the side. And I remembered that's where your sciatic nerve is. And so I was reading about like sciatic nerve pain, and I'm pretty sure that's what this is based on what I've read. I'm gonna mention it at my next appointment, but it was like that pain hasn't stuck around, but it was pretty bad yesterday. And the past couple of days I've noticed this weird thing happening where my legs will feel just really heavy, like they're made out of lead or something. It's a really weird feeling, but I read that that's also a symptom of sciatica. So I think I've got some, I think they say when you're pregnant, your nerves get irritated, and a lot of women deal with like sciatic nerve pain, and some women get carpal tunnel, just like nerve issues. So I think that's what's going on. And that's a relief to me because it's like no big deal. I have my hospital bag pretty much packed, and I did a video on that. My most recent video is what's in my hospital bag for me as well as the baby. So I will link to that hospital bag video in the cards up here as well as in the description box. I had 3 doctor's appointments this last month, and I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things that happened at the doctor's appointments. So the first one was an ultrasound appointment. The doctor said that our ultrasound was perfect. So he used the word perfect ultrasound, which is like just what you want to hear. It's amazing. The ultrasound that we had before that one, he was looking like he was small. At this most recent ultrasound, he was showing big. They said actually he's in the 70th percentile. And we'll have another ultrasound. Our last one, I think, is going to be this upcoming week. and we'll get better estimate of how much he's gonna weigh when he's born. But at that last ultrasound, they said he's probably on track to weigh about 8.5 pounds. And so I was 8 pounds, 10 ounces, I think, when I was born. So pretty big. And I think Wes's mom said that he was 7 pounds something when he was born. So I guess that kind of makes sense. They also said he showed that he was head down in that ultrasound, so that's good. At my second doctor's appointment this past month, which was my 35-week appointment, they said that my uterus had grown. So they do this thing that they test for called like the fundal height, I think is what it's called, and they use like a measuring tape and they just measure your uterus like from top to bottom, and it's supposed to be, I guess, the same number of centimeters as weeks that you are along. So if you're 34 weeks, it should be 34 centimeters, and mine was always behind. And some of you guys have mentioned that like my bump looks small or whatever. It's just a guideline. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong if you're not exactly right on that, but anyway, it had always been small. And at that one, she said it had grown significantly within the last 2 weeks since the appointment prior. So I had a little uterus growth spurt, I guess. And then at our most recent appointment, which was just this past week, it hadn't grown at all. So I was back to being like behind. So I was supposed to be like 36 centimeters. I think I was 34. She's not worried about that. And from what I've read, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. He's measuring just fine, like I said, and my weight gain has been right on track. That's the other thing she said, is like I've been gaining exactly a pound a week, which is what you're supposed to do at this stage. So that's good. I feel good about that. The baby was still head down, and they don't think that he will probably move. Usually around 36 weeks, the position they're in is like where they'll stay because there's not enough room to flip around, you know. She also let us like feel his head. Like she showed us where to like grab his head, and that was weird. They take like a culture around this time to test for that. I believe it's like group B strep or something like that. I don't know if I have that or not yet. I'll get the results from that next week. She did that, and then while she was at it, she went ahead and like checked me to see if I was dilated at all yet, which she said I wasn't 1 centimeter yet, but I was like starting to dilate, I guess. It's just crazy to even be talking about that. I don't know, it's crazy how close it is. There's a girl I follow on Instagram, and she's just been like slightly ahead of me the whole pregnancy, and she went into labor 2 weeks early for her first baby, so it was 38 weeks. And I was like looking at her pictures and stuff with Wes, and I was like, you know, that's in 2 weeks. Like if we went into labor at the same time, that's 2 weeks from now. It's just crazy. I'll be having weekly doctor's appointments from now on. And so I was thinking about also doing weekly updates maybe, just because it seems like so much changes and so much is happening in these last weeks. So I might do that, or I might do every 2 weeks, or I might vlog more. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna handle it, but you know, this is 36 weeks. So if I don't do another one for a month, it'll be 40 weeks, which is like my due date. So I'll go ahead and show you the bump. Okay, this is the bump for 36 weeks. I'm not really sure how much it's grown since last month, but I definitely feel bigger. Other side. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all of your support and your nice comments. It's just so cool seeing like how many of you guys are just excited for us and everything. We're super excited too. So really appreciate that. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my new videos, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.